Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new, welcome. My name is Jada Hendricks, your host. So today we're going to be talking about anxiety, things that I have went through dealing with anxiety, like how it started and what I do to, cope with it and get through situations and also panic attacks. So yes, if you guys struggle with these things and would like to hear my story, then just stay tuned. Okay, you guys, I'm trying to get comfortable. I wore a hoodie today because it's rainy and like cold, but now I'm like hot. I think because I just was like moving around a lot. But we're just gonna just jump right into this. I just really want to start off with saying that have you really ever had anxiety? Like I feel like everyone has anxiety. So like you have anxiety before certain situations. Say if you're about to go somewhere and you're anxious, like that's signs of, anxiety. But the thing that I struggle with the most with anxiety is okay, so I'm gonna just start off in the beginning and how it like really changed my life. And yeah, we're just gonna jump right into that. So one day I was driving. This is literally before I had anxiety. Before, like, I could do whatever. I didn't even have any anxious thoughts and feeling the way I feel now in my life. But one day I was driving and I just started feeling like crazy. Like, I just started to feel like dizzy and like basically like I was going to lose control. And mind you, I don't understand why, right? Like at all. I wasn't even necessarily thinking anything. So yeah, I just started like feeling crazy and like shaky or whatever. And I don't know if it could have been like a panic attack, but either way, this situation happened, right? And from that day forward, I could not drive. Like driving, I would feel really anxious because of the situation that had happened previously, right? Like that just had happened. So I could not drive. I was just like, every single time I would get in the car, I'm just like nervous, right? And I start feeling weird. So ever since that situation, my life has changed. So I'm like anxious about everything, even like, so it turned into like even being home. I couldn't even be home alone. Like I would just be really like anxious, like I'm gonna like pass out and like nobody's gonna be here to save me, right? So, and this was like a few years ago, like maybe 2-3 years ago that this started. And I don't know what triggered it. I just know that I was driving, and then from that day on, my life has been so different. Like I'm very anxious about everything. Like I said, I would be home, and I didn't want to be home by myself ever. I would feel so weird. I would feel like I'm gonna pass out. There were times that I had even went to like my neighbors and was like, yo, like I feel so crazy and like no one's home. Like, and this is when I lived with my mom at the time. So like it was like pretty intense, you guys. Like I don't even know, like there was times that I felt so useless in life because I could not figure out how to feel better, right? So then it started to turn into me like feeling depressed because I couldn't do anything. I couldn't be me. Like, and knowing me from who I was years ago, like I was the wild one. I did anything, and everything. Like I could drive anywhere. Like I was just always party mode, and always just energetic and was never really anxious about anything. I was very brave, I should say. And now, ever since that situation, my bravery is just like, it just like kind of flew out the window, like, right? Especially during that specific time when it first started. And so I started to get really bad depression because I couldn't be myself, and it just was so upsetting because I wanted to be myself. I wanted to feel normal, and it was so bad to the point where the way I would feel when I was home was like, it wasn't necessarily my heart racing, but it was just like my head hurt. Like, so like it's so weird because I don't really go through it as much as I did in the past, but like my head would hurt and it would feel very dizzy, like I'm gonna faint, like, right? But I never fainted, thank God, right? But it was just this huge fear that I was gonna faint all the time, 24/7. Like, so I felt terrible 24/7, right? And I'm like, bro, like, so that's when, right, the depression started kicking in. And then I was diagnosed with severe anxiety and severe depression. And because it was to a point where I didn't even want to take a shower, do anything. I just wanted to lay, and I wanted like just lay down, sleep. And I wanted people to always be with me. So if someone was home with me, I would feel so happy. I would drink teas all the time. And then if nobody was home with me, I would just try to sleep my whole day away until somebody would come home, because I would literally be panicking the entire time home alone, because I don't know why. Like, I just felt so anxious being alone. Like, it was just consistent worry, right? And it was the worst time of my life. And during this time, it was just very, like, I was in such a dark place. It was honestly like just so terrible. Like, I don't wish this on no one, right? Like, and still to this day, you know, I struggle with it because it's something that has happened to me. And I feel like a lot of situations when you go through something, right, and you basically invite it in your life, like it's in your life, that's what you know, you've went through it or whatever, it tends to not leave your life, right? It's kind of sticks. Like, it's going to always be in the back of your mind, especially when you've went through anxiety, depression, like, right? So because, you know, a few years went by, I trained and learned how to cope with it and how to deal with it and how to basically overcome certain situations so that I can be able to start living my life, you know, to the fullest. So I definitely still deal with anxiety, and it definitely still is hard, but I will say it is very, very, like, so much more better than it was before. And it is something that you just have to work through, and you have to basically train yourself to overcome it, and what is the best things for you to do to overcome it. See, for me, one thing that has helped me tremendously was journaling. So I started to journal during the time that I was going through the worst depression and anxiety. I started to journal and just write down things and write a lot of things about anxiety and how to cope with it, because I would look up things and then write those things down and actually, you know, let it marinate in my head as I'm writing it, right? So once I started to do that, I did see a tremendous difference in myself with the anxiety, and I started to feel much better being home alone. So, like, that was the first step for me. During this time, also, when I was going through the anxiety really, really bad, I also sold my car, right? So when I sold my car, that's how I knew, like, girl, you are going through it, because I loved my car. Like, that was such an accomplishment for me, like, to get my own. That was my first car. But I was like, you know, it's sitting outside. I might as well just sell it, right? I can't use it because I will not drive, because I was so anxious, you guys. Like, I could not. Like, I feel like I'll start panicking literally on the road. Like, oh my God, I got to pull over. Like, I feel like I'm about to faint. Like, it was so bad. And so also, I would start journaling during that time, and I didn't have my car. Like I said, I sold it. And also, I got a therapist. So I truly do believe in therapists. I feel like my therapist did help me at a certain extent. You know, people can help you at a certain extent, but I feel like the most help comes from within, and, you know, from yourself, and you doing things to improve yourself. So I do feel like the therapist helped me in a certain extent, like I said, to a certain extent. So she talked to me and, you know, like, tried to say whatever she said, like, whatever the conversations was. And it was helpful because, you know, it felt like just a little bit like somebody understood me, and that was a good feeling. But I started to I kind of get like bored with things. That sounds weird, right? So I think that I felt like I was just like, I think that I expected it to just go away once I got the therapist, and because it didn't, I was just like, okay, pointless. But I will say that the therapist still helped in a way. Like, it wasn't like not at all. Like, she helps me in an aspect of, like, she would tell me, okay, you're scared to drive your car. Well, what you need to do is put yourself in those situations that you're scared of and do them, because these are things that you have to do on a daily basis, right? Especially if you have a job or whatever, you have to go get groceries, you need to drive your car. So you can't basically run from your situations. You have to put yourself in them to overcome the fear that you're having. So yes, that was something that she helped me a lot with in that little aspect, that little part. I do forget a lot of the other things that me and her spoke about, but I do feel like therapist helps. So if you are struggling, a lot with either anxiety or depression, I do recommend you to speak to someone. And also, you speaking to someone doesn't mean that that person has to be the only person that you speak to. If you do not connect with that person, you can find a different therapist. Do not stick with one if you don't feel the connection and the genuine help from this person. And also, yes, like I was saying, the journaling was really good. The therapist was nice as well. And also, like my therapist told me, putting myself in those situations to make myself basically get comfortable during these uncomfortable times. So putting myself in those uncomfortable situations and fighting through it so that, it'll get easier each time. And don't get me wrong, girl, child. I'm telling you, I went through it. So it will be easier one day, and then the next day I'm like, okay, it should be easier, and then it's actually harder the next day. You just have to never give up and continuously keep trying. Always look at the brighter picture of it all. Like, you will get through it. This is temporary. And yes, I do feel like anxiety is something that sticks with you, especially if you have, went through it severely as like I did, because I still go through it. And I found so many ways to cope with it and, try to calm myself down during certain situations. But recently, I don't know if it's the weather changing or I don't know what it is, but recently I had a really bad episode of a panic attack, and I don't think I've ever felt this way before. Like, because like I said, I didn't really have my heart wasn't really racing when I would go through anxiety attacks. But when recently I was driving and I was making a U-turn to come into where I live, and all of a sudden I just felt like I was about to pass out, right? And my heart started racing. It was like, and I never felt my heart race. I was just like, I started bugging, like I started shaking, like I'm done. Like, I am done, right? So that one was really, really bad, and that was actually very recent. And so that little episode kind of traumatized me to start driving again, right? So I feel like I'm going back into the same thing that I was just in a few years ago, but I'm trying to fight myself to, think about it like, Jada, you already went through this. It was, something, it was a moment that you had, it's over with. Don't let this basically tear you apart like it did before. So, I am home by myself now, so it's not bad like how it was. But that one episode in the car recently kind of traumatized me. So I'm like, do I want to drive? Because I feel like I'm gonna freak out again. And I did drive again after that, and I was overthinking that it was going to happen. So when you do that, then you start to feel that anxious and it comes back to you. So I just have to learn how to stop overthinking things, because, I pray to God every day, so being able to wake me up in the morning and thrive and live a good life, I do want to believe that these things that I'm going through, I will overcome and they will pass and things will get better. So I'm trying to not overthink things, because it's going to drag me down. So if you are an overthinker, try to not overthink things. Try to live in the present moment. And this is something that I am also struggling with. So I don't want you to feel like I'm telling you what to do, but at least try to live in the present moment instead of thinking about the past or the future. And that's something that us humans tend to do. We live in the past and we live in the future. So we're like, what if this happens? Or, but this happened before, instead of, okay, what's happening right now? Like, what am I going through right now? What is actually happening in the moment right at this second, right? We don't tend to live in those type of moments a lot of the times, especially when we deal with anxiety, depression, or, panic attacks, or just overthinking and all. So yeah, just try to live in the present moment. And I will say, you guys, it's not easy. Like, it really isn't easy at all. And I just really wish that, I could help people, or also, like, especially if someone was going through like the things that, especially if people are going through the things that I went through a few years ago when it was really, really, really bad. I really want to help, and I just want you guys to know that things will pass and things will get better. But I really do believe that you have to put yourself in a predicament to improve. So if you're not trying to do things to improve and make things better, they won't get better. So if, like me, I would, lay around, sleep my day away, and things like that. If you do that and not work to become better, then things will not change for you. And I know that it's hard because you feel down, you feel depressed, but you have to get up and do stuff. So, even if, taking care of yourself, self-care day, drink tea. I drank a lot of tea during this time, stress relief tea, a lot of journaling, and a lot of just looking up how to cope with it, with the anxiety and the depression and feeling better. So just trying to work and learn ways to become better, get better, feel better. I definitely believe in that because that's something that helped me tremendously, and that's why I am in the situation that I am in today, being able to do the things that I love, and I'm so much more happier in life. But like I said, I still definitely go through anxiety, and also in the past they tried to put me on medication, so many medications, but I am the type of girl, like, I don't want medication. I want to be able to be me. I don't want to have to depend on medication to feel better. And I don't know what anyone else likes to do. I don't know if anyone else believes in it, but I truly, for myself, don't believe in medication for either depression or anxiety. And that's just me, because I want to be able to wake up every single day and live my life without having to depend on a medication to feel okay. I would rather wake up every single day and train my brain to be at a good state of mind, to not be able to go through the anxiety or the depression. And like I said, it is hard because I do still struggle with it, but I'm not the type of person to lean towards medication. So this is something that I've been struggling with for about 3 to 4 years. So we're getting far, but we have a lot of work to do. And you do also, especially if you're dealing with this. And, I wish nothing but the best for every single one of you guys that go through this. And we're on our journey of self-improvement, self-growth, and we are going to become the best versions of ourselves. So never, ever, ever give up on yourself. Continuously, every day, thrive for the best life that you can, give yourself, right? So you guys, I love you so, so much. Continue to grow, continue to be the best person that you can be. And yes, this is all for this video today. And thank you guys so, so, so much for watching. And I hope you have a blessed, 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 blessed day.